Right then, back onto the Mark 5. I had a few days off, so the last video, I'm not sure if it ends quite how we wanted it to end, but Paul had pretty much finished the wiring, just a bit of ABS stuff left to do. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. But as you can see, the front end's all on. We're pretty much built up. We just got the cold air feed portion to stick back on, however that all goes. There's a couple of bits missing, but we'll sort that out. We've literally just done the caster swing because we've decided, I don't know if you can really see too good from here, but this is what's been altered. So if you look at the other side, you can see that the strut is still there. So this is the piece we've machined. So basically, it's like that on top of there. So you can see the distance we've moved the strut back without altering the top at all. So the idea behind this is to give us more caster. The more caster you have, the more the shocks are lent back, the wheels are pushed forward, so you get a lot of self-centering. A lot of people don't like how it feels because you've got quite heavy steering. And maybe, I dare say, from driving a car with a lot of caster to a car with not a lot of caster, a bit less feel as well at times, especially in wet. But it gives you a lot of camber gain, which means you can run less static camber. So I think this side has got just over 8, and that side just over 10. So putting them on has gained us 2 degrees caster, which 8's quite a bit for these. I think I'd have to triple check. They're about 6 or something like that standard, which is quite a bit for a standard hatch pack. I think RB from probably had 3 or 4 standard and like a Mark 1, Mark 2 Golf. Especially the non-power steering ones have got like 0 degrees. So it gives you a fair bit of camber. Believe the Leon's up in 10, 11 degrees on caster. So this is good. It's going to make it nice and sharp on turning and mean we're not going to be destroying outer edge at tyre. So that's that. That'll be going on shortly. That one's from that side, but put it back there. But you see all the looms all nicely in and braided, so this stuff doesn't chafe really easily. This is a little mod we've had to do. That's the brake switch wiring. We've had to do some weird stuff with that to make that work, because it's a normally open relay that you need and all this. You're messing about basically. One of the other things that we've put in as part of the loom, this wire here, this red one, this little switch, put it under the bonnet because I don't know if it'll be able to hear it. There. That's the fuel pump. So when you're wanting to drain the tank, because obviously when you're in the championship way, the minimum weight's critical. Because if you're a kilogram under, half a kilogram under, they'll disqualify you. You've got to make sure you're maintaining the target weight. And obviously the way we can regulate that if we're making little changes to the car throughout the year, if we put an oil cooler on that's half a kilogram and put a seat in that's another kilogram heavier, you just lower the minimum fuel you want to have, which we want the car to be as light as possible. So we're running the fuel quite far down. So usually at the end of a race, the quickest and easiest way to figure out how much fuel you've got in is to drain the tank. So you can just take the return line off and leave it ticking over until it cuts out or whatever. But we didn't want to do that with a common rail engine. So we just says we'll put a switch where it's easy to get. So we'll just pop this fuel pipe off, put that into a jerry can, and away you go. Because we might only finish a race with, I think this will probably go down to about 5 before it starts to splutter. So probably 5 or 6 litres of fuel in. We might aim to be, say, to get the minimum weight, we might aim to have maybe 10 kilograms. 10 litres, of fuel, which is 8 kilograms, 8 point something kilograms. We'd aim to probably have 10 litres of fuel left in the car to meet the minimum weight. And obviously, if we come back after a race and we've only got 10.5 litres left in, we know we're pushing a fine line, put a little bit more in. So you've got to calculate your consumption and stuff. An easier way would probably, not bad that, an easier way would probably be just fill the tank to the top all the time. But then you've got a big weight where you don't want it sloshing about. So the idea is try and keep as little weight as we can in the tank, but we are running out and exceeding minimum weight. So the engine bay, the front end, that's all sorted. We've got the toe strap on how it should be. We've just put the original headlights that this car came with for now, because this is going to have the big refresh of a winter. Nice coat of paint, wrap, whatever we're going to end up doing with it. Not 100% sure just yet, but it's all looking good. We've got the kill switch on the outside here. Still got the fire extinguisher to do before we put all that in, but that's not a big job either. So I'm going to try and get onto all that stuff. I don't know if this is probably not the best place to be looking in. We'll see if it works. So the ABS pump's in. We just need to finish the wiring to that. It's just the standard loom that we're using and repurposing some stuff, adding the pressure sensors in and everything so we can log all that. The air jacks, they're all welded in. Obviously we just need to pipe them up, but that'll probably one of the later jobs that we do, because that we've got a pretty much blank canvas what we need to do. We're just going to keep both the lines even and the feed go to the middle. Batteries in, kill switches in. This wiring needs a little bit of tidying up, a little bit long in places, but we know about that. We're just going to tidy that up when we get a chance. The shifter's in. We just had a little bit of trouble with the cable lengths, so I'm just hoping to get that sorted sooner rather than later. Switches for the fan are here, and obviously we've not got it in at the minute, but there's an heated screen to go in as well. So we've got, that's what them switches are for. Control for the electric water pump, a couple of 12 volt sockets, because that's how we usually put all the Race Logic V-Box in and stuff, but I think this one might... We're hardwiring the V-Box in on this, aren't we, Paul? Yeah. And then we've also got a couple of connectors here. Various different cables going into them. They're all yellow, which is not ideal, but they are. I'm assured that we know what they're all for. But these are auxiliary stuff to add in, so we're adding these in. We're leaving these in so that if we need to add any additional power can-based stuff, we don't need to chop into the wiring and do it. We can just put the mating connector in, and away we go. This wiring here, if people have ever had a DSG car stripped it down, that's what this is for. So the idea behind this is we've wired all the car up, all the looms there, for if we just want to swap straight to a DSG, we don't need to do any messing about to get that to work. So it should be a fairly straightforward job. ECU's mounted to the bulkhead inside the car rather than outside. We've still yet to braid up all the engine loom, but there's not much coming out of that, so we'll leave that as it is. The blower that's here, I don't know if I said, this pipe's going to go over to the other side. The idea behind this blower, it's going to suck in from this 3-inch end here, from under the rain tray, and then that's going to feed air from outside, hopefully that's drier than what's in the car, but we'll see what happens. That's going to feed some air up to blow the windows. If we need to, because we've got the heated screen, if we need to, we can then tee into that and blow it up onto the windscreen as well, but I don't think we're going to need that. And one of the most obvious things that you can see, there's only half a dash, because you have to chop it in half to get in past the roll cage, which is not ideal. I like it with only half a dash, and I think people will think it's a bit strange, but Scott has a final say on stuff like that. He'll tell me what we can and can't have. So we'll see. So I don't know if there's much else to talk about. The seat that's staying in this car's here now from Motor Drive, really good. We just took that out while we're doing a bit more testing. Is that the actual steering wheel that's staying in now, isn't it? Yeah. So we've actually put this rather than the mock-up steering wheel. So hopefully don't get it scruffy. This is the timer that a lot of people seem to use for the pit stop and the race. So you've got two, so you can start timing on the race and start timing the pit stop as well, because there's a lot of races that we've been in that have been won and lost just in the pit stop. If you're only a couple of seconds off somebody's pace and then you're 2 seconds quicker in the pit stop, perfect. But it's a 2-minute exact mandatory pit stop. But most people are teetering around 2 or 3 seconds slow, so if we can get that down, but it's one of the things. The risk doesn't, the punishment doesn't usually fit the crime with them. You get like a drive-through penalty for being a second under, which better just to put a 5 second on the track penalty or something, but they penalise you for trying to be cheeky. At the minute, we've still got the front wheels on with the Uniroyal wet tyres, but we did have delivery from Tool Forge of the rears, but we got a little bit excited. These are ET38, which were the lowest offset, the highest offset that they do for us. But as you can see, on the rear, we're just sticking out way too much with a 265 tyre. These are the Yokohama AO52s, so we're going to have to get rid of them, get some 245s, and hopefully that just tucks it in enough because we can't pull the wheel in anymore. So I'm hoping that works fine. But this is what happens when you put wider wishbones and stuff like that on, and you end up with wheel fitment problems. So Harry's working through all the little bits and pieces, trying to build up like all the brake lines are getting finalised. Then when Paul's finished the wiring, we can bleed the brakes up because we have to actuate the ABS through the OBD port on the wiring. Seating, screening, and then there's absolutely tons of work on the Race Logic V-Box because we've got the tyre pressure and the tyre temperature monitoring system in there. So we've got to, there's a lot of sensors, a lot of wiring, a lot of configuration. So we're hoping to get that sorted sooner rather than later because it's not going to be a 2-minute job. But we're not even 2 weeks away from the race that we want this to be in, and it's not even turned a wheel yet. But there's one positive out of all this, and that is I don't need to press clutch to start it. There we go. Starts and runs pretty nice, so needs a bit of work, but it's running at least. So when we've got some brakes, we've got some gear cables, we shouldn't be too far away from where we need to be. And hopefully early next week we're in a position to take it on track, because I don't want to wait until we've got a test day booked before Brands Hatch, but I definitely don't want to be testing it on the weekend that we're racing and we're so far away from home. So we'll see what happens. So we're still on the Mark 5. It's had a few man hours on it over the last day again. A lot of faffing about yesterday with the suspension, but we'll get into that in another video. I just really can't be bothered today. But it's all on there. We're somewhere near. Is camber where it wants to be, Harry? Yeah. What camber we got?
3.5, 3.2.
Right, yeah, so bang on. So yeah, 3.5 degrees on that side, 3.2 on that side. It's about where we want to be to start with. So we just got to align it again. We spent a load of time aligning it, and then what happened was, we'll just have a quick look here. Come on, Harry, move your silly head. We ordered these wheels, so the rears that are on at the minute with the Rain Sports are 8-inch. These are 9s, and I measured it so they're as close as I could get them to the caliper, but with a 245 tyre, they were sticking out way too much at the back. We did plan on having a 265 tyre on this, but on a 9-inch rim, it were too bulbous, and I don't think we'll get a 10 on this car. I wanted to, but I don't think we're going to get one unless we poked it out quite a bit more. We might, depending what wheel we can get, we might be able to get a 10 on and a 265 on the front, but definitely not on the rear anyway, which is a shame. So this was the only offset we could get these in. So when I did all my measurements, ET38s, the lowest they'll do, I worked out that they should only stick out 0.5 mm more. The problem was the tyre, even though it's only 20 mm wider than the 225, is actually more bulbous on the 9-inch wide rim. So you've got 25 mm wider rim and then 20 mm wider tyre. You'd think it'd be tucked in even more, which it's not. So anyway, we've got the 245s on the 9-inch rim. They fit really nice at the back. They poke out a tiny bit more than them ones that are on there at the minute, which we've not got all 4 mounted yet. But they fit tiny little, they poke out a tiny bit more, which that meant we had to pull the bottom arms in and then adjust the camber again. So we've done that. These little metal valves that you can see here, this is because it's got the tyre pressure monitoring sensors inside, which that runs off this little, kicking about here somewhere. They're wireless, runs to this. from Easy Racing, which we get that through Race Logic with the V-Box. So that's going to be broadcasting to the V-Box, and then we've got the tyre temperature sensors, but we'll do another video on that later on because they're not on there and we're not doing any testing. So the next job for this for Harry is going to be do the alignment. Once he's done that, it's pretty much ready for the dyno. But one of the things that we have done, and one of the reasons why the suspension's annoying me, we'll show you now. So the air jacks are all in. Ignore the pipe work there. We ended up a little bit short on one of the pipes because they need to be identical front and rear for it to come up nice and square. Sorry, both front ones need to be identical from the rear. So it comes from here, through this pipe, into there, tees off, and away you go. The problem we've got, this one was a bit short, so we're going to end up having to join it with a 90 degree, but these are tight bend, it would be a good idea to, so we're going to join that one and join that one with a 90 bend and sort that out. But just for testing purposes, if you watch the car go up, you might be better looking from the side, Danny, and see what the problem is, why this suspension's annoying. Oh dear, the car's moving. So there, we're up. So as you can see, I don't think the wheel, no, it's not even off the ground. So the rear, we can potentially adjust that to come up more because we've got absolutely loads still in this, so we're gonna probably have to do that. Just wind the ring down and lift it up a bit more. But the fronts, they are off the ground. But the reason the suspension's causing us problems in this respect, like if we had air jacks in the Ibiza, you'd be able to see it a bit easier, but when we jack the Ibiza up, we've only got probably 10 mil, maybe not even 10 mil of droop on the rear suspension, which is dictated by your shock. The length of the shock at fully open is what dictates your droop on something like this. On a front wheel drive car, you don't want a lot of droop on the rear because you want to cock that back wheel up and get your weight over your front end. So having all this droop, I think we measured something stupid like 70 mil of droop, which obviously the more you lower the car, the more droop you've got because you've got less bump travel, and then you'll have more rebound travel because you might have 100 mil of stroke on your shock. So if you've got 70 like we've got on way down, you've probably only got 30 on way back. So that's one of the frustrations with this setup, this Bilstein stuff. What we do with the Ibiza, we literally just wind the seat for the suspension because the BC coils are like a threaded strut that's kind of universal, and then they add on the extras to suit the cars, so we can do it with that. So I wish to initially set this car up we'd gone down that route because then we could have the exact fitted lengths and just set a Bilstein or whoever we want to build the shocks, build them exactly like that. But anyway, so we'll sort that out. We're going to lift the rears up to do that. Drop it back down off air jack so Harry can do what he's doing. Are you right, Harold? You should probably pull it a bit slower than that, but anyway. So the other thing we've been working towards, Paul's nearly ready to finish it, is the wiring. So all the chassis looms in there. The only thing that's not wired up is the rain light, which we'll do a video on. We'll show you that on one of the videos. It's quite bright. And we've gone for the brightest one so people don't run into the back of me like they did in Leon. So this is the wiring that Paul's removed. I think they were 5.5 kilograms worth of wiring. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but when all your wiring loom weighs probably 15 kilos total, a third of that's gone. So that's pretty good. And this little bit of wiring here now, we've separated the ABS off completely. So each one of these longer twisted wires that Paul's done at each corner of the wheel, which these have normally got a crimped and soldered, a crimped and heat shrunk connector on them anyway, that goes to your, where's it gone? He's got them stashed here somewhere. That normally goes to like your normal wire. They're normally joined there anyway, so what we'll do, we'll join them with some of them connectors that we've got. We're going to put some heat shielding over them as well so they don't get damaged. And yeah, this is all going to be braided shortly. It'll be in the car, hopefully tested today. The brakes will get bled then because you've got to actuate the ABS to bleed the brakes. And then we're nearly ready for the dyno. We could have been ready for the dyno today if we just didn't do the ABS, but I've just said let's get as much as we can done. We'll get that sorted. We're still working his way through the fire extinguisher. It's all wired in. It's bolted in. The controller and the fire extinguisher itself's bolted in. We just need to get the pipe work and the nozzles all in. So hopefully tomorrow we'll have some more interesting stuff to talk about. So we'll go from there.